Hello everyone, welcome to All India Endeavor Open Mock Cat 13 live analysis. Let us start with the LRDI section first. Now here in today's exam, almost every set were doable, but were they doable in 40 minutes? Should you have attempted all the six sets? Was it possible to attempt in 40 minutes? So let's see which set you should have attempted and which set you should not have attempted to get that 98 percentile plus score. So let's look at the first set. Okay, a very typical set where played with numbers here, where you have to find, you have to deal with calculating the additions of three values. Okay, uh, a doable one. Okay, a doable set, but there were easier set as compared to this. Okay, there were easier set which were compared to this, and hence, I mean, 8 minutes is more than sufficient to crack the set. Should not have taken more than 8 minutes here. Maybe keep this set if you are aiming at 99 percentile or above, guys. Keep this set if you are aiming at 99 percentile or above. Okay, so as I said, this was easier set, but then there were some other sets which were pretty much easier than this. The second set, a similar set had appeared, a similar kind of set had appeared in CAT. Okay, here it was slightly different, where the colors were given. You had to add the numbers and everything. That's fine, but then fairly manageable set. Okay, again, but if a student does not know how to add the numbers, if a student doesn't know that the numbers in the cubes will appear in arithmetic progression, then this set was not worth attempting it. Otherwise, if you attempt this set and if you get all four correct, you are through 99 percentile plus mark benchmark, because this was not again one of those easier set. Okay, if you know how to apply the concept of arithmetic progression, four questions could have been solved in less than 7 minutes, guys. Could have been solved in less than 7 minutes. Okay, so if you get this four questions, if you know the concept and if you get this question, you are through to that 99 percentile benchmark. If you look at the third set, now this was the set which everyone should have attempted. Okay, although it was, it's not clear whether this three belongs to north zone, south zone or red zone, but it gets pretty much clear by the hint which was given in the data that the number of employees are always a multiple of 10. Okay, here in north zone, you see 2018, this is 105, right? Now 105, and these are the basically the average per employee, average per salesperson. Now this is 3.5 into 20 gives you 100 and 3.5 to 30 gives you 105. So that is the only possibility. So blue color line belongs to north zone. Similarly 4, and this is 320 can be clearly seen, and this is 7, and this is 140. So it is very much it gets very pretty clear that which of these three lines belong to north zone, south zone and a west zone. And once you are done with it, the entire set, I mean, you just have to form a table. Okay, the revenue in each year, the average, from the average you will get a number of employees and the set is correct. Once you are done with this table, you walk through this set in probably what, 8 odd minutes, not more than 8 minutes. Okay, anyone and everyone who's attempting this test should have definitely attempted the set, should have definitely attempted. If you're not attempting this set, it becomes difficult to reach to that 99 percentile mark barrier. Let's move on to this set. Okay, a very typical set again, where number of students are known in each division, in each batch. Okay, and they have appeared for different examination, and the data gives you about number of students who have scored more than 90 percentile and deal with maximizing and minimizing stuff. Okay, so if you're comfortable with this set, if you're I mean, you should, I mean, not a very difficult one, right? So ideally 8 minutes should have been enough to crack four questions. Okay, however, majority of you would have gone wrong in one of the question where they were asking you to find out the, what could be the number of students who could have cleared 90 percentile or above in at least two of the five examination in division D. Okay, so that question was little tricky. Okay, most of you would have got either 17 or 19, right? Okay, so that question was little tricky. Okay, otherwise the other three questions were very straightforward, out of which two were based on purely in set theory based, like what could be the minimum number of students who could have got call from NMIMS as well as SNAP. So you just have to find out the intersection, right? Two sets intersection. So three questions, fairly manageable. Anyone aiming at 98 percentile plus should have correct three questions. The fourth question also you would have done it, but maybe you would have got wrong there. Moving on to the next set. Now this set was basically a little time consuming, though when you read the set, it seems to be very, there are hardly any 5-6 lines are there. Okay, and it seems to be very pretty much comfortable with. But when you start solving question, each question has a different condition, and depending on that condition you have to select which of the option would be true, and the options were also not very straightforward. In options also there were some conditions. Okay, you select line B, then you save 3 minutes. You select line B, then you save 5 minutes. You select line A, you save 3 minutes. You select line A, you save 8 minutes. So not only selecting the line but also how much time you are saving, that was also asked in in 3 out of 4 questions, right? So ideally this set was the one which should have been kept for the end. Okay, it would take around 9 and 10 odd minutes, because every question would need a bit of calculation. You need to arrange them properly, and also looking at, you need to look at the scenario where two men and two women would be alternate, sorry, a man and woman would be getting the ticket alternatingly whenever possible, right? So that has to be taken into consideration here. Okay, while solving the set, and hence maybe should have been kept for the end. Someone who is aiming at somewhere 99.5 percentile, 100 percentile range, okay, should have attempted this set. I mean, having that I mean, even you could have achieved 100 percentile even without not attempting the set, provided your accuracy in the other five set is bang on, right? Okay, now we move to the last set. Last set was a network diagram. Okay, a process has to be completed. Okay, very when in the first go student, you might feel that this might be time consuming, but then once you start jotting down, once you start making the network diagram, this set becomes pretty clear, pretty easy. Okay, this is very, I mean, there are no condition attached to it. Only one diagram you can, you have only one diagram that you have to make, and once you have made the diagram, the entire question is based on that diagram. Okay, how much, what is the least time in which the project could be completed, or in the first 40 minutes what is the minimum number of process that has to be completed. Okay, what is the maximum delay that C can have. A very straightforward, okay, very straightforward question once you make a diagram. So again, I would say that this was one of those questions that maybe everyone should have attempted it. Okay, not more than 7, maximum 8 minutes to, I mean, once you draw this diagram, maybe in 2 or 3 odd minutes, maybe the next 4 minutes you attempt 4 questions and you are through to it, right? So that's about the LRDI, the 6 sets of LRDI. Now let's look at the percentile and the score mapping. Okay, so as you can see, the 98 percentile is around 35 uh, marks. That means getting 3 sets correct and you would have reached at 98 percentile barrier. Okay, maybe 3.5 set, 99 percentile, right? 18 odd questions correct, maybe 5 sets and one odd wrong. 100 percentile was fairly achievable, as I mentioned. Okay, you skip one set and it was still achievable to score 100 percentile in this test, right? uh, 95 percentile, 29 marks, that's difference of 6 marks from 98 percentile. You again reduce by 5 marks, you reach at 90 percentile, and you come down to by 6 marks, you reach at 80 percentile. So this was all about the LRDI section of EOM 13. That's it from my end. I welcome Shivam sir to continue with the quant section. Shivam sir, all yours.
Thank you, Jamin sir. Please confirm if I'm audible properly or not.
Yes, sir, you are very much audible.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Let's start with QA section analysis for EOM 13. So this is the usual format that we follow: topic distribution followed by question mapping, expected attempts, and expected scores and their percentile equivalence. This is how the topic distribution looked like in EOM 13. 3 questions from mensuration, 3 questions from time and work, and 2 questions each from basic algebra, numbers, simple interest, compound interest, time and distance, permutation combination, progression, and logarithms. And there were 1 question each from percentage, quadratic equation, ratio proportion, average, probability, function, triangle, chords, and polygons. So overall, good presence of most of the topics in this paper, and overall an easy to moderate kind of a paper, probably the easiest paper in the last 4 to 5 tests that you have got. Let's look at the question mapping. You'll find many questions in easy section this time. So there was the first question based on chords and polygons where beta minus alpha was given as 6. Now what is beta here? Beta is the measure of each interior angle in first polygon, and alpha is the measure of each interior angle. It's a regular polygon, okay? So alpha is the measure of each interior in the other polygon, and the difference was given as 6. We had to find out the value of n. So anybody who knows that the measure of interior angle is 180 into n minus 2, and if it is a regular one, you can find out the each interior by dividing with number of sides. You can get the value of n very easily. The next question was based on numbers, where it was given that 10x plus y is divisible by 79. Now, if you try to be too theoretical about this, try to derive it in general, you might face problems. So be a little practical here. And if it is given that 10x plus y is divisible by 79, straight away, take 10x plus y itself as 79. So you get x equal to 7, y equal to 9, and start eliminating the option. That will be the easiest way to solve this kind of question. Next question was based on mensuration, which was asking for area of a sector. This was an absolute sitter question. Anybody who knows that area of sector is half LR could have solved this question under 30 seconds only. Next one was based on basic algebra, where 2 cubic equations were given, and we have to solve both of them to get their common roots, right? So this was also an easy question, provided if you can factorize the cubic equations and get the roots. A question on simple interest, compound interest, where this is again a textbook question. It was given that a certain sum of money invested at compound interest becomes 2 times in 2 years. So we know what to do next. It becomes 4 times in next 2 years. It becomes 8 times in next 2 years and 16 times in next 2 years, right? So this is again a very easy, straightforward textbook kind of question. Next one is based on logarithms. Here we can apply the division rule of logarithm, that is the log of a minus b is equal to log of a by b. And then at the end, we can take the antilog to get the value of x. A question on progression, a standard rubber ball kind of a question where a ball is thrown up to a certain height and then it comes back and hits the floor. It rebounds to a certain height, right? So everybody knows that this can be done with the help of infinite GP, which is a upon 1 minus r. So this again is a very standard textbook kind of question. A question based on mensuration was given, where ratio of curved surface area of one sphere and another hemisphere was given, right? So we know that using the ratio of curved surface area, we can derive the ratio of radii by taking the square roots. So if that concept is known, again, this becomes a very easy question. So this is about the list of easy question from EOM 13, as many as 8 of them. Now let's look at moderate questions. The first one was asking for a range of log 7 to the base 2. Now, if you look at the options here, they were 2, 2.25, 2.5, 2.75, and 3. So that is where we come to know that we need to divide the entire range between 2 to 3 into 4 equal parts, right? And because it is to be divided into 4 equal parts, we can accordingly assume the powers of 2. Next one was a question on basic algebra, where this particular expression was given. A lot of students might find this as a question from surds and indices, but it's not actually a surds and indices, because you just had to factorize the x raised to 8 minus y raised to 8. Once you do that, it's a straightforward question. Next question was based on ratio proportion, where 3 ratios were given and you had to find out the value of x. Now, there are fancy ways of doing this, like you can take addendo and what, but if you don't want to get into all of these, then you can simply compare the first and the second ratio, then compare the second with the third one, and compare first and third. Okay, so you get 3 different answers. And out of these 3 answers, you only need to use the one which are common to all the 3 answers, right? So you have to find out the common answer to all the 3 solutions that you have done. A question based on time and work was given, where again, this was a standard unitary method based question, where there was a certain target to complete the project within 70 days. And after 20 days, it was found that only 20% of the work was done. So you had to employ additional number of men to complete the target in time. A question on time and distance was given. The AP-HP concept was used here. So students must be knowing by now that if speeds are in AP, then time required to travel the same distance will be in HP, right? If you know this, you can straight away take the harmonic mean of the 2 timings that were given, and you can land on to the answer. A question on SICI was given, where comparison between the first year SI and the second year SI was given. In between, he is paying back some amount which was 4800, and the second year rate of interest was 10% compared to the first year's rate of interest, which was 20%. So the second year SI was 3/10 of the first year SI. The question was more or less a simple one. A question based on averages was given, where sum of 4 numbers at a time was given. So A plus B plus C plus D was given as 142. Then we had B, C, D, E. Their addition was 152, and so on and so forth. So we can make 5 cases and take the overall summation. And once you get the overall summation, you have to divide it by 5 to get the average of the number of marbles that everybody has. Sorry, this was based on chocolates. So average of the chocolates that everybody has. Yes. Next one was based on mensuration, where ratio of volume of cone and frustum was given. So this one again was a very conceptual question that it's based on a concept of frustum. Basically, when you cut a cone and make a frustum out of it, then the ratio of volume of the smaller cone and larger cone is cube of the ratio of volume of their heights. So if you use this concept in all the 4 cones that have been formed, you can find out the ratio of all 4 different parts. A question based on quadratic equation, where this expression was given, that was -1 upon k minus 1 upon k, and so on. The same type of expression was repeated. So this particular expression had a real value. Now you can take it as x and then convert into a quadratic form. And because it has a real value, the right word is real here, okay? Because the roots are real, we can take delta greater than or equal to 0. So that gives you the range of k. Question mapping of moderate and time consuming questions. So this was a question based on percentage. 1 liter of chemical was stolen by a worker on 2 successive days, right? This question was quite lengthy in terms of reading time that it requires. Probably I have to read and read it again. Okay. And after that, you only need to realize that the concentration of chemical in whatever the sample that you have stolen should be the same concentration as the chemical inside the tank. Okay, so we simply had to compare x minus 1 upon x plus 1 as 98, and then we can get the answer to the question. A question based on time and work was given, where A was leaving after, initially A, B, C, D, 4 people start working, and then A is leaving after 2 days, And then again, there is some more variation to this question. Then again, there is some change in the working pattern, right? So you might start writing the equations as you gather the information, but later on, after spending some time into the question, you will realize that the rest of the equations, that is the third equation and the fourth equation that you make, is actually not required. The question can only be solved on the basis of the first two equations. So this might prove to be a little time consuming for students. This was the standard question based on time, speed, and distance, where three trains A, B, C were traveling between Mumbai to Kolkata. Right. So A and B were starting from Mumbai towards Kolkata. C was starting from Kolkata towards Mumbai. The distance between the two cities were given, and we had to apply a relative speed concept here. Right. Why I'm putting it under moderate but time-consuming question? First thing, it takes reading time. Second thing, it takes time to draw the diagram to understand the situation and then start applying the relative speed equations. A question based on progression was given, where S was given as 1 plus 2 by 5 plus 5 by 5 square plus 10 by 5 cube till infinite. Now, by now you must have realized that this kind of questions can be solved by multiplying the value of S with the common ratio, that was 5. So you can write 5S by multiplying each and every term of the expression with 5, and then take the difference of the second equation and the first one, and probably have to do one more iteration of the same in order to get the value of S. A question based on time and work was given, where pipes PQ and R were working in parts. So question was doable, just that there were too many conditions given in the question. Initially, PQR were working, P and Q were working alternately for first 20 days. So there was a pattern of alternate work for first 20 days between P and Q. Then P drops out and Q and R starts working together for a few days. And then Q leaves at the end when he's sure that R can do the remaining work in last 20 days, right? So overall a doable question, just that it takes more time to solve such kind of questions. A question based on numbers was given. Second part of Chinese remainder theorem, I can say, where n was 27q1 plus 7, and that is equal to 23q2 plus 4. So this definitely applies CSR to an extent. And after that, there is also a concept of the second solution of linear equation. Question mapping on difficult question. A question on permutation and combination was given, where a 6-digit number was to be formed using 8 digits, and the number was divisible by 4. Now, the only problem with such kind of questions is there are too many cases you have to make for the last 2 digits. And if you miss out any case, you can get the answer, you can get it completely wrong, and hence end up choosing an incorrect option. Another question based on permutation combination, where 8 steps were to be taken with maximum 3 steps allowed at a time. Again, you had to make various cases in this situation also. And once again, the same problem. If you miss any of the cases, you might land on to a wrong answer. A question based on probability was given, where Bayes theorem concept was applied. A lot of students might not be knowing what is Bayes theorem at this stage, and hence a difficult question. But anybody who knows the question, it would be a moderate level question. Okay, so just look at the solution, just look at the video solution, and understand how do we apply Bayes theorem so that you can effectively implement it next time onwards wherever you come across such kind of questions. A question based on functions was given. Fx was expressed in terms of x, and it takes time to realize that it's an inverse function. Probably you might not even realize that it's an inverse function, and you start with iterations straight away. So after doing 2 iterations, you'll come to know that you are getting back the same variable x, and hence it's an inverse function. So then it was a doable question, but initially first and second iteration might take some time. A question based on triangles was given. Now, this was an absolute difficult question because this applied a concept of cos formula. And I hope most of the students might not be aware of cos formula at this stage. And hence, it's a difficult question. So again, I suggest all of you to look at the solution to understand how cos formula works. And then you can handle such kind of questions going forward. So this is how it looks like. 8 easy question. We expect you to solve most of them. Somewhere around 7 out of these 8 questions. Moderate questions, again, all these questions were based on concepts, right? And therefore a high number is expected from this also, which is 7 out of 9 questions. Moderate but time consuming. Yes, certain questions require lengthy reading, but again, out of 6 questions, 3 questions was not at all challenging job. And for difficult question, I think if you attempt 7, 7, and 3 in the first 3 groups of question, then you won't have much time left actually to go after the difficult level question. And hence, I'm not expecting much here. Maybe 0 to 1 question in this range would be fine. And out of total of 28 questions, that gives me 18 expected attempts, 18 doable ones. Coming to expected scores and percentiles. As discussed, expected attempts were 18. We expect around 80 to 85% of accuracy, and hence 15 questions can be expected to be correct, 3 incorrect. And based on that, our net score for 98 percentile can be somewhere around 42. So this is how the overall picture looks like in terms of scores and percentile equivalence. At 42, you get 98 percentile. And again, I'm reminding you, a lot of questions were easy, direct, and less time consuming. And hence, it was very easy to go higher up the order, maybe like 45 for 99 percentile. You can even scale up to 50, which might fall around 99.5 percentile. Yeah, 63, 100 percentile will be slightly challenging in this case. But this was overall an easy to moderate level paper, and a lot of students would have scored well compared to last 3 to 4 mocks. So this is it from my side. With respect to QA section analysis, I'll request Ajit sir to take over with verbal section.
Okay, that's where I join. And okay, for a change, I'm coming in the end. So I should expect to keep up what? The morale, the motivation, the mood, whatever it is. For people who have been following the Bihar elections, okay, I can't do much about your mood. For people who care zilch about Bihar elections, because we have a CAT coming up in 18 days. Let's see what we did. What did we do with the verbal reasoning section today? What did we do with the verbal reasoning section today? I think we did something that you should now be mentally prepared for, and that is one-line story of the verbal reasoning section today. Just a second. Okay. One-line story of the verbal reasoning section today is, what did we do? We shocked you. When you start the paper and you realize, shit, 28 questions, some people went into a shock. And then when they started the passages and they saw the first passage, many more went into shock. And by the time they had finished the first passage, a lot of you would have simply mentally settled down to the possibility that today, because passage 1 took you so much time, you will probably barely reach 14 or 16 attempts out of 28, which means there is no way you are going to reach a 98 or a 99 percentile. And then you also start hoping simultaneously that, oh, okay, so maybe I think it's not just for me, it is for everybody else. I mean, if it's a tough paper, everybody should be feeling the same. So I think it is not going to be like so very weird for me. And I really hope that everybody is feeling the same. And sir, ab kya kare? I prepared really hard, but I don't know what happened on CAT. Same old story, something that should not repeat this year. Just because BJP is winning everywhere doesn't mean you have to repeat what they are repeating. 28 questions, 40 minutes, 24 questions in RCs, and only 4 in sentence jumbling. And what did we have to do? Let me first tell you what did we do with the paper, and then tell you what you should have done. You should have used strategy. I have been saying this for the last 3 tests. Strategy, strategy, strategy. You will always lose. It's a thumb rule that you lose time in attempting questions that are simply do not attempt questions. And yet we do that. So what I'm asking you to do is to not waste time in those questions clearly, because you are anyways able to spend some time on other questions where you don't feel that negativity that you have wasted time. Rather, you actually positively invest time into identifying which questions come first, which questions should you attempt later. I'll show you my strategy for 98 percentile in this paper. Second thing, the moment you see a lot of questions, see, this is an exam that is going to be taken by more than 2.5 lakh people this year. CAT cannot go out and create a tough paper with a tough a paper with a paper that is tough, because despite having a lot of questions, that's not how CAT works. Something like this might happen on a ZAT, not on CAT. CAT, if it gives you a lot of questions, obviously it is going to increase the number of choices for you. It wants people to use multiple permutations and yet arrive at a good score. So what should you have done? Maybe around 35 minutes to passages and given 5 minutes to sentence jumbling. And very importantly, remember the golden rule. I've been saying this for so long now. 80% attempts, 80% accuracy is usually good enough for a 98 percentile. I just don't know why when you start a passage or you start a question, why doesn't that very clear voice inside you hit you inside hard enough and remind you, chhod de, leave it. You have other questions. When you have 28 questions, your scope of leaving out questions, because that question is so tough, that question is so tricky, that question is actually depressing you, that scope expands so much. You could have left out 6 questions today, not worried about things, and yet ended up with a score that is closer to a 98 percentile. But to leave those 6 questions, you have to be open-minded from the first question itself, that if you are stuck in a question, don't remain stuck on it. Yes, it is tough. And yes, that is how we segregated the questions today. We know how we create a test. We are looking at people who throughout those 40 minutes will maintain their calm and composure and their ability to look at a question and say, this question I am not going to attempt today, no matter what happens, because this question is stupid. Either this question is stupid, and if I attempt this question, I'll end up being stupid. I don't want to be stupid. I've spent 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years making sure that I appear for the CAT as a person who is not stupid, as a person who is smart. Let's show you the RCs. I said the first passage is a bomb. It's not a difficult passage. It is just not a difficult passage. That is where people get stuck. Look at the questions. This passage had the most moderate to difficult level questions. Because you spend so much time in reading this passage, it's an easy to read passage. Yes, my first question told me that I have a question wherein I have to go back to the passage and cross check what is given in the passage and what is not given in the passage. उसके बाद I had 4 indirect questions. First question was direct, but then it required scanning the passage 3 times. Then I had 4 indirect questions: logical purpose, inference, purpose, again inference, and then I had a tone question. So should you look at the questions when you have so many passages? My answer is yes, please, yes. I have always said a passage might be very difficult to read, and yes, that means you can leave that passage for later. But just because a passage is easy to read, why would I not enter my verbal reasoning section and at least go through the questions and identify which ones are the easier ones and should be attempted first, and why not put the difficult ones later? And yes, no matter how difficult or easy a passage is, your accuracy depends as much on the question type as on your understanding of the passage. Just because a passage is easy to read, don't get into that passage. Look at the mix of questions. I had said 28 questions. All you had to do was get me 22 attempts with 80% accuracy, or maybe 20 attempts. I'll show you my 98 percentile calculation later. I have not even asked you to attempt 22 questions. You could have spent 1.5 minutes going through this section, and then you would have definitely realized that no, passage 1 is not the one that I want to attempt straight away. So what do? If I don't attempt passage 1 straight away, I go to passage 2, and it's an absolutely simple passage. Absolutely simple passage, straightforward. regardless of your background. It is about Copernicus. It talks about, it does not even talk. There are some terms which are going to obviously skip because those are technical terms, and you know, based on so much of that you practiced till date. CAT does not test you on jargon. It simply tests you on ideas that are mentioned there. Look at the classification: one difficult question, two easy questions. And why have I called that one question difficult? Only because the answer choices were long. I have always said that moderate and difficult classification of a question will change according to the overall difficulty level. On any other mock, on any other EOM, question number 7 might not be classified as difficult. But in this EOM, where out of 28 questions, I'm sitting with 13 easy questions, I can very confidently classify question number 7 as actually a difficult question, because I know there are a lot more easier questions throughout the test. RC3, Alibaba. Wonderful passage. Very easy to read. Almost all questions pretty much manageable. If I had to give this test, I would have navigated throughout the section and made a note on my paper. I am going to start with RC3. No matter what happens, no matter how long it is, I have seen through the questions. 3 questions are basically direct questions, and then I have a contextual meaning, which is again a direct question, and then I have 2 inferences, 4 direct questions, out of which all 4 of them require referring to the passage only once. I am totally going to invest into the third passage. Then I go to fourth passage. Very difficult to read. Trust me, when you compare the language of this passage, that's why I said relativity, language of this passage with the other 2 passages, passage 1 and passage 2 and passage 3, yes, this passage is a bouncer. Should I attempt this first? 2 questions, fairly easy. You might not find them easy because you found the passage difficult to read, and it is okay. There are areas where we can differ, and it is absolutely okay. That's why I said there are multiple permutations. And then I have a third question, which is an application question. The question is new, or maybe the question is unconventional, but the question was not very tough. If you read the answer choices, you can very easily. So why have I labeled it moderate? The question was apparently, if you read the answer choices, the answer, finding the correct answer was very much logical. One, but I'll still call it moderate, not call it an easy question, because again, shock factor. You look at that question and like, hey, ab ye kya aa gaya? How do I attempt this question? I've never done this question. I've done this question, but every time I've done this question, this question I've answered incorrectly. Whatever the background, this question is never a question which you can be very confident about before you read the answer choices. Then my fifth passage, again a very easy passage, extremely easy passage, very easy to read. That started on question number 24. 23, not 24, 23, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. What I said earlier about passage number 3, Khulja Simsim, Alibaba is here. This was the treasure that you guys had to reach. And most of you who went in from the first question itself with the purpose to solve and get the maximum out of the test, if you spent a lot of time on passage 1 and passage 2, I'm really sorry, you've lost out on an amazingly easy passage. You should have started with passage number 5. Where should I have started? Just 2 minutes. Then I had what? 4 parajumbles, not 3. A strife in Sudan, a Socrates and Unity, ball pens, Nairobi. We have absolutely replicated in this what we did with your RCs. We again looked for people who are going to enter a question without the awareness that if it is tough, please leave it. Don't waste time. Question numbers 16 and 17, by my experience and by my knowledge, were 4 times as tough as question numbers 18 and 19. Again, I'm pretty sure question 19, if you look at it now, if you could not attempt it when you were giving the test, you are going to absolutely hate yourself. That is how straightforward. It's an absolute sitter. Look at the solution. It just says, for a change, we gave you a stitter. A straight sequence, nothing to change. It was intentionally put there. It was there for people who are going to give some time to all of it and figure out what goes where. So this is what you should have done. There were 15 easy questions, out of which I would have expected to attempt around 13 questions, get me 12 correct. 9 moderate questions, attempt only 5, get me 3 correct. 4 difficult questions, get me 2 attempts and 1 correct. 28, 20, 16. We are back to the golden rule, approximately. Now, this is not even 80% attempts. That's what I was saying. This is a lot less than 80% attempts. This would be somewhere around, I think, what? 70% attempts. And out of that 70%, you get me an 80%, you still. So is it really possible that CAT gives you a paper which is easy to moderate level, and yet your good score works out to 16 out of 28, which is what? 16 out of 28 would work out to approximately what? 58% maybe. 58 to 59%. Is it possible? It is extremely possible, because CAT understands that people are going to go into a shock. And you don't want to get on this side of 16. You want to get on this side of 16. 17, 18, 19, 20. How should things have gone? 100 would have been a score of 52 and above. 45 definitely worth a 99. A 98 would be somewhere close to a score of 41. Okay, I've interchanged these numbers here. So yes, expected score for 98 percentile should be 41 instead of 45. I would have put this, for me a good score here would have been a 99 percentile, but okay, let's go with the conventions. 98 percentile, a score of 41, not 45. 95 percentile, 35. See where I've fallen down. 35 in a test of 28 questions. 35 is what? It is basically 12 correct. 12 net correct out of 28. Somewhere around 40% of the total section score. Who can have a problem with reaching that much? I have an answer to that. Everybody who does not use a strategy will have a problem reaching that much. So what did we do? We created a paper that is an exact replica of a lot of CATs that have happened in the year between the years 2013 to 16. A flat 25% of the total section score works out to 80. It should not. Trust me, it should not. But we did, because we realized that people are going to go into a shock, and that's what happened. How to score 98 percentile? In my last analysis, I had said for people who don't like passages, there's a different approach. Today's test, sorry, there is no different approach. There is only one approach. You have to be good with your passages. You start with passage number 5, nuclear energy. You should have a target of all 6 correct in 10 minutes. Then you go to passage number 3, Alibaba, get me 5 correct in 8 to 10 minutes. Then you go to passage 2, the Copernicus passage. You should get all 3 correct. I said it's an easy passage. You could have interchanged passage 3 and 2, and I am fine with that also. Then you go to 2 sentence jumbling questions and get me 2 correct, even if you give it 6, 7 or 8 minutes. Look at the time that I've spent here. 10 plus 10, 20 plus 7, 27 plus 7, 34 minutes. I said give it 8 minutes, I don't care. Make it 35 minutes. Then what do? Then it depends on which Avenger you are. If you are someone who wants to jump from, because I have achieved my target, I have 6 plus 3, 9 plus 5, 14 plus 2, 16 correct already. 16 into 3 is 48. And I have some negative marking, fine. So mera good score to nikal gaya already. I don't have to worry about any more attempts. But if you still want, you might want to go and attempt passage 4, and hopefully in passage 4 you won't get me a negative marking such that it ruins my overall score. Or you will go to passage 1. So why Iron Man? Iron Man because he's really hardworking, but he's not someone who's going to keep on fighting till the last moment. Or passage 1, if you want to like really utilize your entire 40 minutes till the time is up, you are just answering questions, or you just chill like Thor in Avengers Endgame. You just sit and relax. If you get into passage 4 or passage 1, I said please get me 2 correct and don't get me any incorrect. Otherwise, it's a 40-minute section. When you are done with things at 35, learn to relax. It is a wonderful feeling that will probably stick with you for the next 30 days. If you can get into a section which has 28 questions in 40 minutes, everybody around you is getting sweaty and wet in all places of the body, and you are done with things in 35 minutes, and like 35 minutes, 16, 17 net correct, I am totally done with my life. I don't want anything more. That's what we wanted. That's why my first words were, how much can a shock change your strategy? You have 15 or 16 or 18 or 20 days for CAT, whatever you're looking at. You have to get me that fixed strategy. So yes, today's paper was not so tough for verbal and DI, yet we have kept the scores fairly low. Quant, I can understand it was tough. You are targeting an overall 80 percentile, you would be standing at a score of 61. From 80 percentile to 100 percentile, as it always happens, the score goes to almost 2.5 times. And that's how it should be. So when you go from 80 to 99, your score has almost doubled. Look at the patterns here. Look at the patterns here. You will realize that the difference of a 100 percentile and a 99 percentile technically is getting 2 questions incorrect less. Those 2 questions, if you had selected smartly, you would have ended up with 2 more correct answers. Your score would have jumped from 45 to 52. But 98 to 99 is just 1 question. Just 1 goddamn question. Same here, almost the same here, almost the same here. It is that 1 bad choice that drops your score from 99 to 98. And then 98 to 95. Look at the differences for the third time. It is all about 2 questions, 1 question, 2 question. Again, same thing. Improve, improve, improve. Yes, this is a major difference because it is always a major difference. It is always a huge difference. I go from 45 to 63, 40 to 54. Yes, that is how it works. 100 percentile is a big thing for people. But verbal, I still want to keep 52 as a 100 percentile. If you are close to a 50 or 51 and your score shows close to 50, 100 percentile, trust me, you totally deserve it. Because what you have done is what I really, really want from you people. And that is the ability to select. You might have taken the same route in this and in this. Verbal, if you have selected well, I'm pretty sure you are above 52. We are closing the analysis here. Your inputs for the next 15 days or 18 days are still the same. Go back to the test, analyze, find out how you could have changed your strategy, improve your strategy taking, and you are done. All the best. I'll see you guys again very soon. Till then, keep solving, keep it keep it easy, stay safe, enjoy the Bihar election results, enjoy your Diwali, and all the best for everything that you do between now and